Good day. My name is Stephanie Falco. I am an immigration consultant for Terry Ferrer and Associates. And today with this video, we are trying to help you, the employer, access the new employer portal that the Ontario Nominee Program has created as an extra step on the application for your employees that are applying through this program, just so that you better understand. Before, an employee could simply go into the system and register that they had the support of your company. However, from today on, which is July 2nd, 2025, the employer must do this step on their own, and it must be the first step taken in order for the employee to be able to participate in this program, which is why we are here trying to help you as much as possible so that you can go through this process the easiest way possible. So to begin with, we are going to send you, the employer, a link that it's going to send you directly to this page that is showing on your screen, okay? It says how to use the employer portal, Ontario Nominee Program. And this is a way to explain to you how the system works. However, what we are going to do, we are going to go specifically into the most important part. So what we understand from this website is that before the employer can create an employer portal, they must have a MyOntario account. If your company already has a MyOntario account, okay, then you can simply go to register an employer portal. Now, if your company does not have a MyOntario account, then you need to create this. And this is what we are going to do together. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to go down here where it says step 2, says sign up for MyOntario. And here it gives you all the steps, right? First, you have to access this link. Then you're going to create the account. And only after you create the account, the system will automatically return you to the OINP e-filing portal where you will be able to create the employer portal. So let's do that together. So I'm clicking here where it says OINP e-filing portal. Okay, the I am not a robot part is not working, so don't worry about that. You can go ahead and click on continue like I did. And here it's going to ask you, okay, if you already have an account, here is where you are going to put your email and your password. And for this video specifically, we are going to make it as if we do not have a MyOntario account. And so we are going to create one. So you're going to go up here where it says don't have an account, create account, and we are going to create our account, okay? Remember, you are creating an account as the employer. So it's important that all the information that it's asking you, okay, whenever it's about the company, you put the information about the company. Whenever asks about the signing officer, that means you, the person that the company has declared or assigned as a person that will be able to take care of this part, okay? So we are going to do it through the email, okay? So here, I created an email specifically for this purpose, okay? Okay. And now we have to create a password. Like it mentions, at least 8 characters, at least 1 lower, 1 uppercase, at least a number, at least a symbol. Okay, so let's do this. And here we go. Let me just take a screenshot of this because... And then we click on agree to the terms of service. Okay, so you put the email. Make sure you have access to this email because everything that's going to happen from now on the Ontario website most likely will be going to this email, or at least the My Account information, okay? So we create the account, and now it's going to ask you to verify your email, which means that the email that you use to create the My Account should be receiving an email, okay? So I am accessing here my email just to make sure. And then you're going to go to your email. It's going to have a number, and you're going to have to click on activate your account, okay? You click on activate your account, and it's going to send you to this very page, okay? The Ontario Nominee Program. You click on continue. And now you can go ahead and use the email and the password that you created when you were creating the MyOntario account, okay? So let's do that. Remember, this email and this password is the one that you just used. You just used to create the MyOntario account, and you're going to click in sign in. Okay, so now it accepted the information that I input because it was exactly like the one that I used to create. Okay, and I would recommend you put save here. If your computer, if your browser asks you if you can save this for future access, I would recommend that you save it, okay? And now you are going to see three boxes: new applicant, new representative, new employer, and you are going to go into the new employer section, okay? A new employer who wants to register, and you're going to click there. And this is where we have to pay a lot of attention, because if there's any information in this part, okay, when you register as an employer that is wrong, okay, you either will have to contact Ontario directly later to make any changes, or you might have to withdraw your registration and do a new one, okay? So let's start. Are you an authorized signing officer for your business? This means that you are the person that was authorized by the company to do this for the employees, okay? So you are going to answer yes, okay? And then you have to click on I have read and understood the criteria for registering my business. Now it's the fun part where they are going to ask first information about the employer, okay, then information about the authorized signing officer, and then you're going to sign a declaration. So here it's going to go the information that you already have on your company. So we are going to start with the CRA number, the Canada Revenue Agency number. Okay, and then you're going to fill out, remember, this is something that you have to do according to the information from your company, okay? The information that I'm inputting here, it's simply information for the business that we are registering, okay? It's not going to be 100% your number, okay? So let me do this. Then you're going to enter what the legal name of the employer is, okay? And remember, this part, the legal name must be the one that it's registered on your documents. And then right after is asking you the operating name. So if your company operates in a different name from the registration, or a lot of people call it like a ghost name or something like that, you have to put it there, okay? So it has to make sense with how your business has been registered. Then it's going to ask for your employer address, okay? So of course, we're going to choose Canada. The address line number one usually is for the number of the street and the street name, okay? And then the province, of course, the province of Ontario, because we are dealing with Ontario and you must be an employer from Ontario. The city where you are located, your postal code, and the phone number for your business. Okay. If you have an extension, you can use that. If not, you can leave it so that they can access the main number of the company. And if you have a website, then you should also put it here, okay? Okay. Now, remember, if here on the registration for the employer, you need to use a different email because you are the signing officer, maybe you created the MyOntario account using the company's office, which is the correct way to go. However, here, when you are filling out the information for the employer, you can either use the general email of the company, or if the owner of the company or the HR is going to be participating and they are the ones that are going to be taking care of things, then you can use that email. If it's going to be different from the one previously used to create the account, there's not a problem, okay? So now that we have filled out this information, we are going to the next step. And now you're going to register your business. So here it's asking you for the name of the employer authorized as a signing officer, okay? So like I mentioned, not necessarily the person dealing with this doesn't have to necessarily be the owner of the company or maybe the HR department. It could be a supervisor or a manager, as long as the company has authorized this person to deal with Ontario regarding this matter, which means that whenever Ontario needs to contact the office, needs to contact your company, they are going to be looking specifically for the signing officer, the person that you have authorized to deal on this matter, and that person needs to be very well aware of all the information, not only in the system, but also about the applicant, the employee that you guys are supporting, okay? So here's where you're going to put that person's information. Okay, if it has a middle name, you can add it. If it doesn't, there's no problem. Then you can put the title, okay, of that person. Remember, if it's a supervisor, supervisor. If there are a director, director. HR representative, HR representative. It has to match the exact position of the person in the company. Phone number. You can put the phone number of the person. If they have an extension, you can add the extension. If that's their direct phone number, then you can just leave it blank, okay? And as you can see here, the email, it's being copied already. You cannot alter it because they are using the information of the person that created the MyOntario account. So previously, we were able to put a different email because it was information about the company. Now that it is about the signing officer, they identify that the signing officer is the person creating the account, and therefore they have used the same email. So it's very important that when you create the My Account, you use the email of the person that it's going to be representing the company in this application, okay? So we click next, and now there should be the final declaration, okay? So the declaration mentions, I solemnly declare that I am an authorized signing officer of the employer and am authorized in accordance with the employer's internal policies to register the employer with the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program for the purpose of submitting an application for approval of an employment position, okay? So here it copied some of the information that we have already input. You as the signing officer, here on my case, the person is the director. I am going to sign the full name as mentioned before, okay? And we are going to, when we check the box underneath, it's already going to put the information on which date it is that you're signing, which in this case is it's today, okay? And then as you can see, by checking this box, I confirm that I have the authorization from Canada LTDA, which is the name of my company, to complete this registration, okay? In your case, it's going to say that the person has the authorization of the name of your company and they can complete the registration. And then after you have filled out all of that, you can click on confirm. It's very important that before you click any next or continue or confirm button, please make sure you go back on the page, make sure the name is correctly written, okay? There is no extra numbers, there is no extra letters, because that is very important. If something were to be wrong in the registration, like I mentioned, there might be a possibility that the system will allow you to edit. If not, you will have to contact Ontario directly. And sometimes those are changes that Ontario has to do themselves. And this sometimes can take a little time. Ontario can be a little slow to reply. So it's very important that when you are doing this, just make sure, go back on the page, make sure you put all the information correctly, okay? So now that the employer portal has been created, right? It says there you have successfully register as an employer. Now we are giving the pages. So we have the employer profile, we have the job offer and application dashboard, and we have the employer contacts. And now what we want to do, now that you have registered on the employer portal, is that you want to go on the job offer and application dashboard. There is where you are going to be able to register your employee. What this means is that after you do this step, after you have created the My Account, after you have registered your employer portal, now when you do the job offer and application dashboard, that means that you are going to let it be known to Ontario that you are supporting your employee for this application. And it is only after this step is completed that your employee on their side, whether they're doing it on their own or they're using an agency, is that they will be able to register their interest in participating in the program of the province, okay? So we are going to click here on the job offer and application dashboard. And as you can see, it says create new job offer. Now, it's very important for you to know that the information I'm going to be using is specifically about one of my employees. However, you are going to be doing it regarding your employees. So any information here that you are going to see that I am filling out and that you have no idea what it is about, I ask you that before you complete the step, go to the employee, ask them to give you all the specifics, okay, so that when you are registering that person, you are registering them correctly. Because if this part asks for any specific and you put it wrong, when the applicant is registering themselves, if the information doesn't match, they will not be able to link your registration with the applicant's registration, okay? So we're going to click on create new job offer. And we just have one page, okay? Apparently. So you're going to select the stream for the job offer. My client specifically is on the foreign worker stream. However, there are 3 streams. This is very important for you to know, and this is an information that your applicant, your employee is able to provide to you. They know which program they qualify under. Now we are going to use here the name of the employee. So the last name, okay? And then the first name. My employee doesn't have a middle name. If yours has, please put it, okay? Their email address, okay. Okay. Okay, and, sorry. Let me do here. I forgot. Okay, so that was the employee personal email address, and then they're asking for their job title. So it's a carpenter. Okay, so very important again, because this is one of the most important steps of the registration. Make sure you are selecting the correct stream. It's going to be either the international student stream, the foreign worker stream, or the in-demand skills stream. Make sure you ask your employee which is the correct program for them. Again, if you do not select the correct program, they will not be able to register themselves. So we have the last name. The last name, make sure that you don't put just the last name. So in this case, my client's name, it's actually just Fernando Silva. That's why I'm putting Silva as the last name and Fernando as the first name. However, if you have, for example, a client that it's called, I don't know, Fernando Lopez Silva, the last name is Lopez Silva and the first name is Fernando. Or for example, maybe you have a Fernando Mateos, Fernando Matthew, Lopez Silva. So the last name is Lopez Silva and the first name is Fernando Matthew. Okay, so make sure also when they give you this information, you ask them for the complete name and specifically, so there's no mistakes, ask them to simplify. Okay, please write to me what your full last name is and what your full first name is, okay? So now that we have the information, I put the employee's personal email. Make sure that you ask your employee the email that they are going to use to register themselves, because the email that you put here has to be the same email that they will use to register themselves, okay? And then at the end, the job title. That is very important, okay? The job title that you put there has to match the job title that the employee is going to be adding. So here, my employee is carpenter. Whatever position your employee is, you have to put it there, okay? So now that we have this, we will to create draft. It's taking a few seconds there. Okay, so now what we have to do to complete this part is very simple. Just a quick thing here on this part where it says employer representative. It's really important for you to understand that this representative is regarding you, the employer. If you are working with a lawyer or an immigration consultant to help you out in this part, this is where you have to add the representative. This has nothing to do with the representative that might be helping the applicant, okay? So now we are going to finalize. Here I have Fernando Silva, which is the person that I'm creating the job offer. As you can see, the status of the application is job offer draft, okay? So as long as it is a draft, it doesn't show as submitted, it means it's not in the system. So we clicked here on the job ID and these 3 windows open, which says edit add representative, manage employer contact, we want to go to the edit tab, okay? Takes a few seconds to open. And what this part is going to mean is you're just going to put some extra information. And now when you actually click on submit, it will actually mean you're submitting the application. So the first thing is the job offer stream. This is the information we filled out previously when we started creating the job offer draft. So you already have the last name and the name of the person. You already have their email and their job title. So you're going to go to next. Okay, so now we are on the job offer information page, okay? This information here, you can all confirm it with the applicant, with the employee, to make sure that you're putting the correct information, okay? So for my client is a carpenter, so I am going to choose the knock that is for carpenters, which is this knock over here, and I'm gonna add the hourly wage. Again, this is an information that you can check with the employee just to make sure that you're putting the correct information. It's asking if the position is a permanent and full-time. Yes, it is, because that's an obligation for the stream. Then it's going to ask if the person is going to be working, okay, where is the location? If the location where they're going to be working is the same that you have previously filled out when you register, okay, is the same location as the business head office location, then you can simply go on, click on same address as the head office. However, if maybe your company has more than one locations and they will not be working or reporting to work at the head office location, then here is the part where you can add that other address where they are going to report to work, okay? And then it asks if the location is in the Greater Toronto Area, the GTA. And then depending on the location where they're going to work, you can answer yes or no. Please be sure to know if your location is or is not, because this is crucial also for the applicant part of the registration. In my case, it is in the GTA, so I have chosen yes, and I clicked next. Now it's asking for the employer contact. As you can see here, when I click on top of the name, it gives me a sign that I cannot edit this information. Why? Because when I register the portal, I put that Stephanie Falco was the signing officer, the authorized person by the company to do this process. So what it does, it already copies that information here, so you don't have to do it, okay? And then we click next. It's asking you if someone is assisting you with completing the application. Again, remember just a few minutes ago, I mentioned that if you are working with a representative to do this part, then you should answer yes. And then it's probably going to ask you either to choose the representative or add the information. If you are doing this on your own, you're not using the help of any agent, of any lawyer, you should choose no. Just a heads up, this video guide does not mean that we are representing you as a company, okay? So if this is all the help you are getting to fill this form, the answer is no. Nobody is assisting you with completing the application, okay? So I clicked no and I clicked next. And now we have the final step, which is the declaration and submission. So the last name here is the name of the authorized signing officer, not of the employee, okay? The employee was just on the job offer information. So as we mentioned here, this was the person that was selected by the company. The position is director. The date, it's already going to be automatically put as today's date. And then you click the box, and by clicking the box, it means that you're solemnly declaring that you're authorized by the company to submit this job offer, okay? One of the things that I would like to tell you is go here on this box that says check for errors, okay? Click on it, and then it's going to tell you if there's any missing information. If you see all check marks are okay, then you're good to go. However, if it gives you any red or X's, that means that there's an information on that section that it's missing and you have to fill it out, or else the submit job offer button is not going to become available. So now, as you can see, because it is complete, the submit job offer button has become available to me, and now I can submit the job offer. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And now that we have submitted the job offer, you can check here on your dashboard. This is the person that we were working with, and you will see that the status that previously was job offer draft now has changed to job offer submitted. This means that you have successfully submitted this job offer, and now the employee or applicant will receive an email from Ontario with details that they are going to need for them to be able to register themselves in the program. So up until this point, your job is done. You have registered your company in the system. You have registered the job offer. Now it's up to the applicant, to the employee to do the other part. And I would like to also mention an extra point here that is when the applicant or the employee registers himself, if he gets invited by the province of Ontario, you, the employer, will have 14 days to come back into this portal and finish an extra step. That extra step will only become available once the person has been invited. You cannot do it previously. So it's very important that you come in here as soon as the applicant tells you, I have received an invitation. You can go ahead and do the next step. It's very important that you do it as soon as possible. Why? Because the applicant on his side will have the same amount of time as you to submit his application. And as long as you have not finished the extra step, the applicant will not be able to continue his application. So it is very important that you, the employer, do that extra step as soon as possible at the beginning of the invitation so that the registrant, the applicant, will have enough time to submit, to gather his documents and to submit his application, okay? Again, I hope this information was helpful to you. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. We hope to have made it a little simpler to you, and we wish you good luck in supporting all of your employees.